Hi there. So I have a piece that I need to repair. Oops, where's the other part? There we go. So this piece broke when I dropped it and I ended up firing the pieces. Now one of the things you're gonna see is that the fit, the way it goes together is pretty clear. I don't have glaze in between since I broke it after it had been glazed. And so I can line up these parts pretty well. Now I've got a bit of a gap on this side where part of it broke, right about there. But other than that, the fit's pretty even. So I'm gonna use epoxy, and I've got a couple of choices. I've got the 5-minute epoxy, and I've got the PC7. These are both 2-part epoxies. And I actually have a couple of things to repair, so I think I'm gonna use the 2-part gel epoxy first. And with either of these epoxies, so this is the fast drying one. With either of these epoxies, I need to put gloves on. It's a good idea to wear gloves. The epoxy on your hands is not great for you. I mean, it sticks to your skin, hard to wash off, etc. So I'm gonna wear gloves when I do this. And then I'm also protecting the surface I'm working on. This epoxy, either kind, on the table, hard to get off, leaves a residue, leaves a thickness, which you don't want. So once I've got my paper down so that I have a clear space to work, I'm gonna take the lid off of this one. If you've got a brand new one, there's gonna be a little plastic mixer in between here, and so you'll need to pop that off before you push it closed. This has been a while because we haven't been in the studio, so that takes a little bit to get off. And then you also notice that I've got just a little piece of paper that I'm mixing this on. So this is a stiff paper. A lid, like a disposable lid, works great for that. So I'm going to press on this, and yours should come out fairly easily. Mine doesn't want to come out because it's been sitting for a while, so it's a little dried up on the end, and often one side dries up more than the other. So let me get some leverage here. There we go. Now this should be even amounts of both epoxies, and mine has actually come out a little bit uneven, so I'm only going to use part of it, but I want equal parts, half this, half that. And then I can use a toothpick or a popsicle stick to mix this up. And I'm just gonna mix those two pieces together so that the two colors mix and it's somewhere in between. Now this is 5-minute epoxy, so once I get those mixed together, I do not have a ton of working time. I better plan to put this on pretty quick. So I'm gonna put this epoxy on the seam. I like to put it right in the middle because it will squeeze out the sides a little bit. I then wanna have this guy ready to go, and I wanna get these lined up as close as I can together. I'm gonna check that they're matching over there, check that they're matching over there. I got a bit of a gap, so when I squeeze, I have some epoxy kind of filling in that space a little bit. I can also use a toothpick to clean up a little of this extra. This one's kind of under the cap of the mushroom, so it's not a huge deal if I've got extra epoxy visible, but it'll help me if I can clean up a little bit of that. It'll just make the surface smooth. And that's particularly an issue if we've got pieces that are more visible. This one, like I said, is kind of hidden underneath. And then I want to make sure, I've got a little pressure that I'm holding this with to keep it steady. I could hold it for 5 minutes. I probably would rather not. And so if I can get it to balance okay and stay steady, I can just leave that set. Make sure it's not gonna get bumped. If your piece is not even, so like if it doesn't sit straight, you're gonna wanna tape it. I usually use like a masking tape or something to tape it in place so that it doesn't tip over. If you've got a handle that's on the side, you might want to put your piece sideways and then tape the handle in place. Now, after this sets up, I can use some paints and some other materials to patch it a little bit. I can also use this PC7 or PC11 stuff to fill in that little gap, but I'm gonna wait. I don't need to rush it. So I'm gonna wait 5 minutes or so to make sure this is set before I try to fill in and add that kind of stuff. If I have any more repairs to do, I better do them quick because this stuff is gonna dry up in 5 minutes and it won't be workable. It'll actually be workable less than 5 minutes. It'll get dried up faster than that. Thanks.